everybody. Welcome back to Niche Deep, where we bring you every bit of chaos energy from 3 a.m. with all your vibes and a healthy dose of nostalgia right to the gut. This week's episode is dedicated to that one middle-aged dad who's always shirtless playing basketball after dinner in every neighborhood.
I want to die.
You,
I hate it.
you know which one I'm talking about. There's always one. I feel like he's probably dedicated or he's maybe applied for the position, sort of like HOA style. But this one's for you, bud. So tonight, I was thinking we would kick it off with some of our lovely followers' suggestions from our Discord.
Yeah.
If you have not joined our Discord, please, for the love of God, what are you doing? Please join us. Join us in our terrible, terrible memes and gifs. Let me go ahead and pull this up. I want to make sure I get the verbiage correct. Here we go. So from Casual Canuck, we have two excellent submissions. The first being old stories that you read from, or you read from elementary or middle school that your brain brings up from time to time.
I got some particular ones, but go on ahead, girl.
Oh, yes. There is only one at this current moment that I can think of, and this goes out to Mrs. D, my 7th grade English teacher, who made me write with a crayon because she said my handwriting was so bad that I deserved a utensil suiting of the age my handwriting looked like. This one's for you. Thank you for making me read Alabama Moon 6 times. Because you were from Alabama. That one goes out to you. It was very dark for a 7th grade novel. It was all about a boy who lived off the grid with his dad, and then his dad got a leg infection and died in the woods, and he had to figure his way out of the woods.
Spoilers alert!
And had to figure his way out of the woods by himself and hitchhike into town and find his next of kin by himself at like 12 years old. And he was like using all of this stuff that his dad has taught him how to live off the land his whole life. And then the second part of the book is how he like finds family in Mobile, Alabama, his next of kin, who's like his family's brother, and he like gets into regular public school. And then he's like, this doesn't make any sense, this is worthless to me, but he like can't read and write, and he can't do all of these other things. That's mine. That sucker pops in my head occasionally. It was a bear trap. It didn't get infected, it was a bear trap.
Oh my god.
Wow, I'm speechless.
Hi, welcome back, lighthearted Tuesday chats with funny Saff and Hills.
That teacher's real fond of trauma in multiple ways, isn't she?
Hi, shout out to the South, the American South.
Hey, we love that.
Yikes.
Saff, you said you had some?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Probably not any better than the one you just described, actually, now I think about it. I was in 9th grade, though, so I was a wee bit older. I was 14 in 9th grade, just to give that a perspective of how old I was. And I read Of Mice and Men. And if you don't know what Of Mice and Men is about, it's a doozy. But it's basically about two brothers, and one's really big and dumb, the other one's smart and cunning and like is short and stuff like that. But he's the older brother, and he has to take care of his older brother, or his younger brother, and it gets dark up in this beach at the very involves a lot of death. But I remember reading that at 14.
That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage, and I was like, Motor, shout out to Motor being here, hey bud. Yeah, so Of Mice and Men ends just brutally, and there's like a lot of foreshadowing. It's actually like a tiny pamphlet. It looks like
it's so small.
One of those, teeny tiny, but it breaks your heart. Like you can read that in probably like an hour if you're like a slower reader, which is kind of what I do. To fully absorb the content. Yeah. And baby, do you absorb some things, including sadness in this book. Would recommend if you're into that. But I was 14 and I was like, oh my god, I didn't know such sadness existed.
So I think what's really wild about Of Mice and Men is the references that you would have never have thought about, that you realized as a kid from Looney Tunes. They reference Of Mice and Men constantly. There's the I'm gonna hug him and squeeze him and call him George. It's literally from Of Mice and Men. And like after I read the book, I was like, wait a minute. This it.
You just unlocked such an experience within you. If you guys have read Of Mice and Men and you know this bullshit, that's so
Dude, yes. I swear, you gotta YouTube that because it's real. Like, it's some character it's some character who's supposed to be dumber, and he's like, I'm gonna love him and squeeze him and call him George, and that's what happens to the little mouse. And it's like,
the chat is just as fired up about this concept as ever.
Yeah.
That's all of us.
Yeah, right.
I've never read Of Mice and Men, so this is totally foreign to me.
It's really a good book.
I could give you an actual summary of this fucking book. If you wanted me to, but I don't know how sad we want to get tonight.
We love story trauma time.
Hey! Well, speaking of traumas, I also had traumas whenever I was younger, but it was not like, it wasn't a book that I read in school. I mean, I remember some things like, Lord of the Flies is one that's like always like, Jesus, that one's a little tough and stuff like that. But there's one book that I think would like scarred me as a child, and it was like something that my sister had, and it was like a hand-me-down, and she's like, read this, and I'm like, okay. And it's called In a Dark, Dark Room and Other Scary Stories. And there is one particular story from it that's called The Green Ribbon. It's about this girl, and she meets this boy, and they fall in love, and it's really nice. And she wears this green ribbon around her neck, and he's always he's like, what is that? And she's like, I'll never tell you. And so they grow up and grow old together, and then she's about to die, and he's like, can you please tell me about the green ribbon? And she unties it, and her head falls off.
Yeah, it does.
And after that, I never watched anything scary until I was at least 14.
I think the origin of that story was it was supposed to get kids to like listen and not ask questions. Like if someone says like, hey, don't do this thing, and they keep pressuring you to do it, and then they don't like the result. Because I remember our teacher being like, and that's what you get. And we were like, oh, okay.
Damn. Yeah. What is it with parents and like adults being like, and that's what you get? You're like, I'm 12.
I don't deserve anything, and I also don't know anything.
I am small, and I don't know anything. I know you told me.
Oh, shit. We stand Don Mulaney in this house.
Yes, we do.
I'm going to read some of the comments.
Yes, please.
Also from Casual Canuck, saying that they remembered having The Hobbit read to them in grade 4 and Cirque du Freak, the series, in grade 6. But The Giver has really stuck with them over the years. They're also saying that Of Mice and Men was some shit, because that's correct. And yeah. So that's just some of the things that people have. I've also read a short story also in this same class where Of Mice and Men scarred me. I cannot tell you for the life of me what the short story was called, but it was particularly sad because I had a bunch of friends over, and my mom was like, hey, you gotta do your homework, and I was like, I don't want to, but I did. As my friends are playing a board game, I was like, give me 15 minutes, I'll just read it real quick. And I sit there, and I'm flipping through it, and it was about the Holocaust. I'll save you the details, because it was very sad, and I was a very empathetic small child. So, like, my friends are like, it's so fun playing this board game, and in true anime fashion, I'm reading there, and then all of a sudden I just have, and like I'm just like sending waterfalls down my face, and my one friend goes, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not okay, as I cry in front of like 6 of my friends, as like a cool 14-year-old, and my mom was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, and I had to explain right then and there to my friends and my mother why I was weeping, and then all of them were like, maybe you should put the book down. I was like, and I remember it vividly as a 25-year-old to this day. It's been 9 years, and I still remember the contents of that short story. So Words have power. Use them wisely.
You know, you have just drawn this out of my brain just based off of this short story concept. It is a song my mom used to sing to me when I would like get a bath as a kid. And I'm talking like 3-4 years old. Like that's the
Yeah.
other thing. I have an insane memory, so this has stuck with me, and I know all the words. But it's a song, and it's about this cat who's like a neighborhood cat, and is like walking around. He's outside cat, and he falls in love with another cat on the other side of like a high fence or something.
Mhm.
And the whole point of it is that he like falls off the roof and dies, but it has 9 lives, so it comes back to life. But I just remember being in the tub and my mom like singing this song to me, and I was like, and he dies? What do you mean? He dies! And every time, like, I knew the ending. Didn't matter though. I was scarred.
That gives me a follow-up question for you guys and our viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any like nursery songs or nursery rhymes that your mom or like your parent would tell you? Because I have one like that, and it's a Titanic song. And my mom we used to do song like choir songs where you would sing one part and then the other person would sing the other part, and it was like a dueling choir song. And I remember this song to the day I die, I feel like. And the lines are deep dark blue sea, it was sad when the great ship Titanic went down. And so you would sing that one part, and then my mom sang the other part for the first time, and she said, husbands and wives, little children lost their lives, it was sad when the great ship went down. And I was like 8 when I sang this with her, and as we were singing it and she sang that second line because we're dueling back and forth, I just like wept again, anime tear style, and I was like, that's really sad. And my mom was like, I don't know, it's just a song, I didn't think you'd be that sad about it. But I was so distraught again, like Bunny said, where it was like I knew it every single time, but to this day I kind of get a twinge of sadness even when I sing it still. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm crying.
I don't know why, but I feel like the song makes it even worse because it's like a tune you can get stuck in your head, and then you can't get it stuck in your head.
Well, it's like the majority of
You're
all
like, no, please.
it's like the majority of all nursery rhymes and shit. They're awful. Rockabye Baby, Up in the Treetop, When the Bough Breaks, the Cradle Will Fall. Like, what the fuck? Why is he up there? What? Why did you put him up there? London Bridge is falling. Like, London Bridge is falling down? What the fuck? Like, y'all, why are we killing all these people? Like, yeah, disgusting.
The chat actually just mentioned that. So Casual Connect said that they didn't have a song from Parent per se, but Alouette is pretty. They said it's about plucking birds. I didn't know that. I've heard that song a lot. And Motor said the same thing about Ring Around the Rosie and not realizing what that meant as a kid, and then being an adult and being like, so not
also,
good.
what is the Blackbirds like song where they like cook the birds and the birds begin to sing, wasn't that a dinner for the king, something like that, but it's like they cooked the birds raw, like alive, and then they didn't cook it long enough, and so whenever he goes to eat it, they're still like screaming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
I'm distressed about this.
Oh,
why? Why are those
it's
things?
4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie.
Oh, yeah.
The fire was open, the birds began to sing. Yeah, it was very...
That sounds like horror film content.
Haunting.
Right there.
Oh, absolutely. But as a kid, you're like, oh, it's so cute.
It's a fun song.
Yeah.
My mom used to sing also, what is it called? Little Bunny Frou Frou.
Hopping through the forest, scooping up the field mice and popping them on the head.
Popping them on the head. And my sister used to cry. So my mom stopped singing because she didn't like the bopping them on the head kind of thing. Because I don't know, I think parents don't realize, God love them, that like kids are a good deal smarter than I think adults give children credit for.
Yeah.
And the bopping them on the head really does a child. So they're like, it's fine, little bit bop. And as children, you're like, I know what that means.
But doesn't something like fucked up happen to Bunny Fufu at the end of that because he keeps doing it? Because the blue fairy comes down and she says, I don't want to be you, creeping up the field at the bottom of my head. And something like fucked up happens to Bunny Fufu. Am I going insane? Like, I really do feel like that actually happens.
I gotta Google this now.
Because I think, like, because this, horrible, but also the bunny dies. Like, Bunny is dead at the end of that shit.
Oh, it's Bunny Fufu. I thought it was Bunny Frou Frou this whole time.
No, Fufu. And down came the good
Nah,
fairy.
it's...
And
Nah.
she said...
Nah, fuck that. It's Frou Frou, bitches. It's fucking Frou Frou.
So apparently it says, I'll give you 3 chances, then I'll turn you into a goon. The next day, you repeat the chorus.
Oh, yeah.
And the next day, yeah, I remember.
And the next day, she said, little bunny Fufu, I don't like your attitude, scooping up the field mice and bopping them on the head. I gave you 2 chances, now I'll turn you into a goon. Poof! And the moral of the story is, hair today, goon tomorrow.
I remember that. Oh man!
I don't remember hearing that whole song because as kids, my sister just didn't like it, so my mom never sang it.
What's
I
also...
can literally hear the CD that I had.
Yep.
She always goes, hair today, goon tomorrow. And you were like...
Ew.
What's also funny is the second definition of a goon is a violent and aggressive person who is hired to intimidate and harm people.
Yeah,
So it's
the first one.
It's silly, a silly eccentric person.
Um,
And I'm like, so wait, you're turning them into a goon, which is already what he was doing.
yeah.
Like what?
Wow, double meaning.
Yeah.
Double meaning.
I think also the only other 2 songs that stick out, at least for my own life as a child, that I vividly remember my parents singing to me, is Lavender Blue, which is the original, like, old version, not the Cinderella live action version. That's totally the wrong key. Yes, I was upset about that. And the second one was my dad and I loved the Beatles. So my parents raised me right, clearly, and played the Beatles for me as a child. And he would sing Yellow Submarine to me while he would, like, make little submarine sandwiches for me. Like, he would roll up deli meat and put pickles on the top for, like, the porthole where you would, like, get it out of the submarine. It was very cute. Good dad things. But he would get to a point where both of us had sung it several times, so we would just do the, like, mumbled words and instruments, the, like, around the kitchen. And so now, every time I sing that song, I skip over the lyrics completely, and I'm like, yep, right there, dead ahead, and that's just what he says in the beginning of the song.
Yeah, he really does.
He just yells it through, like, a radio.
Yeah.
But that's all I can think of.
That's awesome.
That's very, very good. I love stuff like that.
I love it. Very awesome.
That kind of goes along with, like, Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, basically, I feel like if you listen to nursery rhymes, I don't know if other families do this as well. Like, I also got fables and like little, like, fairy tales too. And I think that's where they cross over into weirdness, because a lot of people were like, yeah, you know, nursery rhymes. And Motor at one point was like, let's make nursery rhymes and sing them to kids. They won't know what it means yet. And it's like, you know, because the old ones, like all the Grimm's fairy tales for like Hansel and Gretel was like, don't go out into the forest by yourself, kids, otherwise a witch will eat you. And there's always like some kind of warding tale to keep your children under control. And Liam does a really good job of this in Critical Role by using Caleb, because the Grimm tales were German, I believe, and he does a great job of retelling fairy tales of like, don't go into the forest, otherwise you'll get eaten by something. And so that reminds me of like the nursery rhymes and the fairy tales that I grew up listening to. Is like there was always something of like, there, you 12-year-old, fucking don't do that shit or else. And I was like, okay, I won't do it. I wasn't going to in the beginning, but now I really won't.
Yeah, see, the stepsisters in Cinderella taught you not to be a bitch because you'll get your toes, heels cut off, and the birds will poke your eyeballs out. All right! All of those things, if you're a bitch.
And then shout out to Neil Gaiman for opening Saff and my eyes and telling us that Snow White is essentially the story of vampires.
Yeah.
And that the stepmother really wasn't that crazy for trying to kill the vampire daughter. I'm just saying. He's got it figured out, clearly.
We don't want vampires. Kill her.
And I feel this leads directly into a topic I know Saff wanted to talk about regarding children's television shows. I feel like this is that way. That
Yes.
It's the same concept.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, like, I don't know if everyone had this experience, but I would wake up on Saturday and get the bunny ears out for our television since we didn't have cable, and I would tune into like the CW Kids or and like PBS, and there's a couple of shows that I would like to bring to your attention, and if you have not seen this in a while, or if you had cable, sorry, this isn't gonna apply to you as much. I used to watch Shaolin Showdown, which was an impeccable show about a bunch of kids who were Shaolin monks, except for each of them was like an archetype. So like the one kid was very weirdly a small Asian yellow character with no hair and was very loud and obnoxious. Then there was another girl who was like very cool and just super chill. And then there was a cowboy who was blonde hair, blue eyes, wore a 10-gallon hat, and was also a Shaolin monk. And there was like a bunch of people who they just fought crimes, and it was kind of weird and whatnot. But I loved that show so much. I also watched Static Shock, which I think was technically on cable as well, but didn't know until I was an adult that that's actually a DC comic book official content, and I want to watch that show again. There was also Jackie Chan's Adventures,
Yes.
which was impeccable and actually quite good. The uncle in that show is who I aspire to be when I get old. And then last but certainly not least is Sagwa the cat. Sagwa,
Yes.
the Chinese cat.
With the red collar.
Oh yeah, I don't remember
The
what
red and
the
yellow
point of
collar.
that show, but it was like 4 meddling cats and all of the shenanigans they did around this ancient Chinese palace.
Yep.
And it was so good. I love that Motor also knows what Shaolin Showdown is. That makes me so happy. Thank you so much.
I definitely
Incredible.
have to throw it to, I know that Hillary will probably appreciate these as well. We got Guts, we got Legends of the Hidden Temple, we got Double Dare and Double Dare 2000. Those were my crisp peak points as a child where I was like, I have to play competitive, ridiculous games at some point in my life. And then we all proceeded to work in an escape room and have that as a hobby.
Correct.
If that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does. That's the closest I can get.
Yeah, see, because for me, it was Nick Arcade. Do you guys remember that one? That one was wild. Nick Arcade was literally like, if you were to answer all these questions correctly, you would get to go into the Nick Arcade and be in a video game in the late 80s, early 90s. Like it's the funniest thing because you're like on a green screen watching yourself and going up like, you know, and like punching the things and you can't, like, you gotta duck. Oh, it's so funny. You gotta watch some of the clips of that because it's wild. Carmen, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego was my fucking jam. Yes. I loved that. I was horrible at it, but I was like, I love her. I will do anything for Carmen. She's amazing. And then also there's this other weird TV show that I barely remember, but it always hangs in the fog in the back of my head. And I was like, what the hell was that show? It was called Under the Umbrella Tree. And it was, there's a very specific house that looked like this house in my town. And I was like, do they film it there? Is Iggy there? Is the little puppet Iggy and Gloria Gopher and Jay Jaybird? Are they there? Like, there are all these like little puppets and shit like that. And I was like, that's the house. I'm sure of it. But it definitely wasn't. But it really did look like the house. And then also the Sharon, Lois and Bram show was like my heart. It's where Skinnamarink dinky dink, Skinnamarink doo.
Oh, good.
I love you. That's where that song comes from, and I'm obsessed. And then that's such a good. And I'm like, why can't we have that shit now?
I thought that was from Luna and Molly.
Sharon Lewis and Bram. They're
they're
songwriters.
Luna and Molly was also a top-notch show. Big comfy couch, baby.
With the legs, with the clock.
The
clock. All the way around. Yep.
Even as a 7-year-old, I couldn't attain that level of flexibility, might I add. This brings me to Cyber Chase. Did anybody watch freaking Cyber Chase on PBS?
Did you play the games?
Yes. The games were just impeccable, top notch. Shout out to the early 2000s. Yeah, giving us free games that I will remember until I'm dead. Free games. Wow.
All right, I'm looking at
concept. Yes. Motor, you have some great taste. Shaolin Showdown, Cyber Chase, incredible. Shout out to LOL Liddy. Yeah. 007, thank you for following. Appreciate you so much.
Welcome to the nonsense.
Pure insane.
The pure chaos.
Yeah, so I don't know Cyber Chase. I haven't heard that one.
It's about children who get sucked into cyberspace, and there's a bad guy who's always trying to do terrible things, and their technically patron saint is called Motherboard, and Motherboard is the one who has like slurped them into the computer. And she sends them out on missions, and she's like, hello, you very, very cunning 10-year-olds, please go try to... Hacker's the bad guy. And
of course he is.
A bird friend named Digit, who is voiced by something Godfried. Jeffrey
Gilbert
Gottfried.
Oh boy.
Guys, I am going to drop this in our Discord. This is an incentive. I have found someone who has recreated the game and put it back online. It's called The Quest, and I will put it in our Discord right now.
I think I remember that.
I know what all of us are going to be doing for the rest of our evening.
Yeah, so we're gonna just cut the feed now and go play Cyber Chase online.
Yeah,
we'll see you next week.
Wait, Code Loco? Is that how you say that? How do you say that?
Lyoko.
Who's that? Inform me.
Didn't personally watch it, but...
Okay, I did watch this as a child, so this is gonna be, a stretch of...
Love it. We love it.
It was like they went to a school together. It was all these kids. It was very odd animation.
Yeah.
And they would like go into like almost like a VR headspace, in like these big rooms and do like interesting fights, and it was very cool.
I do remember the animation was super funky.
It made me a little squeeby. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was haunted looking.
Yeah, it was like very small mouths, very big head, and
like very angular too.
Yeah, I would say look it up, but I don't know.
It's like if Phineas and Ferb was in the Upside Down.
Oh shit! You're right. Did you guys ever watch Chalk Zone?
No.
It was so good. Anyone in the chat, you've upped your friend level in my book if you know what Chalk Zone was. He had a piece of magic chalk, and he would draw stuff and doors into different places. Yes, Motor, yes.
I feel like Motor knows all of our references,
Motor
like
really
every
does.
single one of ours, and I'm like, hell yeah, I love that. It's so good.
Yeah, Motor's coming through. Motor is coming through. We appreciate you.
For the people who are new in the audience, this is like an us to you conversation as well. So any questions we're asking each other, please put your input in the chat. That's like the whole point. Motor just really do be knowing things. Cultured.
I'm cultured. I love that. Okay, so while we're on the trend of this nostalgic trip down childhood lane, please enlighten me with the following information. What was your go-to, whether you were allowed to have it or not, your go-to sweet treat or snack food? For me, personally, it was the original shark gummies or Scooby-Doo gummies when Scooby-Doo and the main shark were both white and not blue. The white ones were the best, and everyone who had them knows that.
Yes.
Thank you.
1000%. Your girl really hasn't changed that much. I used to drink Sprite and the trolley gummy worms. And the trolley gummy worms, by the way, I feel like in my heart of hearts definitely changed their recipe because they got weird like 5 years ago, and I was like, this is not the trolley I grew up loving and knowing. Oh, specifically, the ones who are kind of the same now are the octopus trolley candies.
Yeah.
If you've seen those, they're like the worms, but octopus. Mm-hmm. But I also was in love with Arizona tea at the time, like the lemon like the huge ones that you could just use as a weapon. But as a 12-year-old, I was like, that's a lot of tea, and so like that's what I would get, and that was like the cool thing.
Yep, Casual Connect just said mine, which is Dunkaroos, which I'm obsessed with and have been obsessed with.
Dunkaroos.
I still have not. I have looked everywhere, still cannot find them. I looked at this past. I looked this past week and I was like, where the hell? Because Aaron said that they were here and I don't know where they are. So I have looked.
I literally got them from the clearance end cap.
Son of a bitch. All right, and then there's also this cereal. I was allowed to have it once and then never again, and it was called Sprinkle Spangles, and it was pure sugar in cereal form, like more so than like normal. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh, I feel like I remember that.
They were like cookies with sprinkles. How is that cereal? Yeah. But dude, they were bomb as shit. And I begged my mother for weeks for that shit, and she's like, okay, just this once and you're never getting it again. That's definitely what my mom sounds like. And so she bought it for me. I think I had one bowl and then she threw the rest away because it was so bad for you. And oh my god,
gave it to me as dessert. She's like, this is not breakfast, but you can have this for dessert. And I'd be like, okay.
So I would like to share with you that Walmart, 7-Eleven, and select Publix carry Dunkaroos. That is all I got for you.
You know what I used to like as a kid as well is hot fries, but they're not hot fries, the Chester Cheeto ones. They are the literal.
Yeah, the weird.
With the guy with
the weird fucking nose, dude. Yeah, I know which ones you're talking about.
He's a famous comic. Like a comic strip in the newspaper, like ye olde newspaper, and I forgot what his name is, but those used to be really delicious as well, and then they got weird down the line, and then I changed over to Chester's hot fries, which is different than hot Cheetos. I will fight about this. But in a similar vein, they are very different. In a similar vein, did you guys ever do highlights for kids?
Yes. Yeah.
So
100.
I don't even know what it's called. So chat, if you know, let me know. So there was highlights, and you could order those every so often. And my mom would only get them when she could get them on sale. So I would get them for like 3 weeks, and then I'd be like, all right, that's not on sale anymore. But there was one, and it was a mystery case. Hey, Fizzy Lemon. It was a mystery case, and I don't know what brand it was, but this is probably what made me one of the reasons I'm such a fucking nerd. Smiley, hi. And you got a file, and it was like good old like FBI file as an 8-year-old, and it had like, you know, classified and like all these case files, and it was before the internet was like a really big thing, so you had to like solve the mysteries, and if you had questions you could call the hotline with your parent.
Wow.
It was so cool, and I'm obsessed with it to this day. I remember it in my brain, and I probably is why I like mysteries and making them myself. But anyways, that's not the point. But it was so cool. And so did you guys have anything like that where it was like highlights or the solve it mysteries? Did you guys get like little packets in the mail with anything, or like coloring books that you were like, I love this?
I remember the commercials for Zoo Books, and it was like,
yeah,
that's cool as shit. I'll never get anything like that because highlights, literally didn't get them. I just had to wait until I went to the dentist to look at them.
Yeah,
that's the only place I could get them. And sometimes they'd have Zoo Books, but not all the time. So it was always highlights though. And then you would open it in the dentist office, and you're like, damn it, somebody did all this. Yeah, I see that isn't the same in this picture, you asshole. You didn't have to circle it. It's my asshole kid feel. It was like,
you could have known it in your heart.
Mom, these highlights are done. I'm real mad. I was like, why do they have them out here? They're done. Sorry. My inner child rage is just
your passion
fuming.
Is inspiring.
I don't get hopped up on some things, but highlights that are done in the dentist office, that's where I draw the line.
That's the jazz.
There's a special place in hell for people like you.
Yeah, it's called 2020.
You've got malicious dictators. You've got the guy who invented, what do you call those things? The little tear strips on plastic that are never in the right place. And you have the fucking kids who did the highlights at the dentist office before Hillary got there.
Get them out of here.
That's the place for you.
Yeah, get them out of here, those bastards. Sorry,
I'm
chat.
talking lemon juice and paper cut hell. For
Get in there. And then a little bit in your eye, too. God.
Little bit.
Just a little. Just a hair.
You've got lint in your contacts.
Just a hair to go, God, what happened? Okay, it's fine now.
Oh my god. Fizzy Lemon just said, what about the kids who donated completed highlight magazines to the library?
Evil!
That should be a cardinal
That
sin.
is a crime.
That's horrible.
You should be in juvie. You should be in juvie for that shit. And so should the parents.
Stand in your shoes. Always.
This is similar, okay, hear me out, to people who dog ear books that aren't theirs.
Ooh, wait,
Oh,
what?
buddy.
If you dog ear a book that is not yours,
What the hell would you
we are gonna
do
fight.
that? That's so
We are gonna
messed
fight
up.
each other. I one time got I let someone borrow my book, my prized book, which I shouldn't have done because that's on me, and they returned it back to me with the cover off the book because it's a hardcover book. Took the sleeve off of it. It was bent in other positions, and then had water damage on my book and had dog-eared like, I shit you not, like 25 different sections. And when I received it, it was like a $25 book. This was back in like the 2010s, and I was a high schooler, and I was like, I'm gonna go light a whole town on fire.
Dog earing a book is whenever you bend one of the pages so that you can tell
Like
that this is where it is. That's a dog earing. That's what that's called.
It's like if you didn't bookmark your book, or you didn't have a bookmark, you would just fold the ear down so you could come back to the spot that you left off in. But that's for serial killers when it's not your own book.
Yes.
If it's your
If
book,
it's your own book,
do whatever you want to do. Or it's like, even don't do this in the library books. I know the library books are for everybody, but not for you to do that. You absolute sinner.
I think that that's something that has been ingrained in our brains as you treat the library books with fucking respect.
Yes.
But I think that's probably gone downhill because we used to you used to go to the library and be like, okay guys, today we're going to the library. We're gonna learn about library etiquette, and everybody's like, fuck that! I got an iPhone. I don't gotta do jack shit. That's everybody now who takes.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. That's just how I feel like everybody is who donates done highlights to fucking. Oh, I'm raging about that.
And I love
Smoking.
Fucking pissed.
Orange County library system, bro. Get on that because I save mad money by using the library. They will send it to your door for the free.
Wait, what? Oh shit! I got my library card like a month ago,
Yes.
man.
Ooh. Mailed to you. You can use an online app system to watch free shows and download audiobooks and free ebooks. And you can also just get a bunch of other shit on their website and go in person. Also, ours has a facility where in the before times they had like a full VR system. They had a full editing booth for computers and for audio, like own sound booths. Like it's crazy. So if you live in a bigger city, check out your library. I'm not joking. This is a PSA now because it is incredible. You will not regret it. What is the chat saying?
Local library, please.
Motor says, have you seen any kinds of readers who lick their finger before they turn the page? Yes. That used to be a thing, I always remember it. I always saw it on, on TV shows. And it was always older people who were doing that, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing that?
They had their glasses down to here, and they're like,
yes. Oh, yes, exactly. I cannot turn this page unless I have moisture. Excuse me. Yes, now I can read the next page.
If you were like an old man in a TV show, you had to lick your thumb for some reason. I'm not sure why, but if you were an old man,
any fucking sense either.
No, it has no sense at all.
Oh, that's so good, man.
Two things.
Can't do that now.
I have to
Crime.
add to this before we get to a different topic. One being, they do actually make tack for that now. It's like a pink wax that people have on their table for like people at the DMV or people who touch paper all the time, because I get it. Like your fingers do be getting dry like that, and you do be like, I can't separate this shit.
Yeah.
So they literally will go like this with the wax, and then just what?
The chat is coming.
They're going nuts.
Their girlfriend works at a library, and she's seen people pull their mask down to lick their finger to turn a page.
No.
You can't do that right now.
Unsubscribe.
And then Motor, who I'm convinced is one of the funniest
Unsubscribing from that shit, man.
people alive now. Why? Might as well lick your entire hand and skip to the end.
Get out. Get out of here. That's so bad.
That's so freaking funny. That's nasty. You can't do. That's a crime now. That's
That's
a murder crime.
That's
First
like
degree.
that's like food tampering.
Oh. Have you ever seen someone?
No.
Okay, this leads me into a segue of I only trust certain people to cook for me.
Saff, you're frozen. You might want to click out of the video and then click back in.
Okay. Out of this call?
No,
Right.
just the video down at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can just click that off. Oh, perfect. There you go.
Awesome.
You're poised. You are poised and
You are poised like this.
Prior to us segueing really quick, I do want to add this because I feel like this is something that I had to learn very early on because I used to be very particular about going to the library. Shout out to OCD. We love that. So I have learned to appreciate when people have a book and I open it up and I'm like, I almost said rented. I borrowed the book and I see like there's like a coffee smudge or there's like a tiny tear or there's like a wet spot mark on it. Someone said this to me. I don't remember who, but it was very, very wholesome. Also, Saff, you're frozen again. They said, isn't it so wonderful to look at a book and see the actual past of it? So like, oh, there's coffee right there. Maybe that person was drinking coffee, reading this book, enjoying this book, and at that point they laughed and it like jumbled across out of their hand as they were holding their cup. Or like, oh, the tiny rip is because they were fighting over reading the book at bedtime. Or like, it's just very cute. So on a wholesome note.
Right.
There are good things about messy library books.
Sure. Absolutely. That's a very romantic way of looking at that, for sure.
Mm-hmm. One more time, Saff, you're still frozen for me.
Thanks. I don't either. My baby computer just can't handle it.
It can't do it.
Are they getting my audio?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Oh, okay, that's great. As long as you can hear me. I don't know why I'm frozen, but...
The face that you have right now is...
It's very smug. Very smug.
I've been told that every time I freeze in a stream, my face looks judgy. So. Yeah, for sure. What can I say? RDF at its finest.
Here, we're just gonna. There we go.
Thanks, Motor. I can always count on you to catch me on my bullshit.
I got it. Here we go.
Beautiful.
It's too good.
I love that it's just mine, though. Nobody else's.
Yeah. It's only.
It's just me.
It's yours and it's so judgy. We'll put that right there in the chat for everyone to meme. And there we go. We got it. All right.
Nice.
I love it.
It's good. It's very good.
I would love to bring up that in conjunction with this, I only trust certain people to cook for me. Okay? Because some of these people out here are nasty. If you eat from your spoon and then put it back in the dish that you're making for everyone else, it's an auto no for me.
Yeah.
It's a big old no for me. I'm so sorry. No thank you. There are tasting spoons for a reason. Or I've watched people who like wipe their nose with their hands and then go back to meal prepping. Satan is waiting for you because that's not okay. Don't do that shit. What are you doing? No.
Oh, man.
I understand also when people do this, like, logically it makes sense when they stand over their boiling pot of soup or whatever they're making, and they do this. Back up before you breathe out, Craig. What are you doing?
It's always fucking Craig.
I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't need it. Step back.
Because whenever you do this, your instinct is go, ha. So you're not going to do a, no. Who does that? Fucking nobody. They're going to, that smells so good.
And you're like, oh, no.
You zoom in with a fucking pot cover. Like, no.
Biden and save the day. Yo. Am I able to take my camera off really quick and pop back on, or will that mess up our...
Yeah, down at the bottom where the, it shows like the microphone and then there's the video. Click the video off. And one more time. There you go.
You're back.
Yep, that's all you have to do.
Wow.
You swap,
Incredible.
man, I will say there was a lot of, there was switching. I'm pretty sure there was like a glitch in the Matrix because you and I and Bunny, we all switched spots. It was real good. It was real weird.
We do that for fun.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
It's a roulette, really.
It's a new thing that we've learned for 2021. It's our super. We woke up this day and it's now a new thing that we're doing. I don't know. You can only find that here on Niche Steve. He's time traveling.
All for free. You're welcome. Free of charge. We love you guys.
It's so good. I love that.
This one's on us.
Oh, okay. So I want, I've been wanting to see this for, I've been thinking about this for like an hour. I want to see what your iPhone background is right now.
Oh.
Okay.
Jokes.
Oh, we're talking
I
off
don't
screen or
have
home
an
screen?
iPhone.
Yes. Yes. Or whatever. What? Shut up, Saff. Whichever one.
Mine is my OC that I play in Beyond the Realms every Monday.
Well, shit.
Her name is Ramira, and I love her very much. She's
Awesome.
my princess.
That's lovely.
Alright, I was trying to move to a page that does not have apps on it.
You know,
This
that's
is my
fair.
lock screen. My lock screen is like a collage of dice.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I like that.
In the background. Yeah.
Love that.
What am I, a nerd?
My background are my twin gals. I play this one over here, and a friend of mine, Mackenzie, plays this one over here. In our D&D game, and then my my lock screen is a town that my party is in that I DM for our Dungeons and Dragons game. Because that's what keeps my mind focused on where we are in the story, so I can write throughout the week.
Shit.
It changes every week.
Mine, like, I was like, okay, well, how, like, my thought process was like, well, how do you choose what your thing is? And I'm like, well, because y'all play D&D. Mine's just boring as shit, and I just like aesthetic. You can't even see. That's how.
Turn your brightness
You have
down.
to turn the brightness
Oh, that's
all the way
right.
down.
You right. That's fair. It's real fucking boring. It's
pretty.
just,
No, that's
it's
nice.
just paint.
Pretty.
And then what we do is we color coordinate with our widgets and our motivations, because I'm a
Nice.
fucking nerd. Because I'm like,
Incredible.
what do I want
the
for this
best
new
way.
year? I don't know. Let's flip through Pinterest and find a thing, because I don't fucking know what I like this month. So that's how I choose my shit, because I'm like random. I'm like, this is pretty. Okay, what
Yeah.
aesthetic do I want this month?
iPhones have that really cool feature now. I saw that you can redo all of your widgets and stuff like that, and like draw your own version or like upload your own pictures to
Yeah.
each one.
Man.
And I have a friend who
great.
did them all. Like they did watercolor. I saw a TikTok who did watercolor paintings of every single app that they had and their background and everything to make it work, and then uploaded all the pictures and made their own custom watercolor background. It was very cool.
My old
Shout out to Reed, who did one page is like each sliding page has 2 of the Mighty Nine characters from Critical Role, but it's all like
So cool.
color shifted, coordinated.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Very good.
It takes
very
a
cool.
very long time to do that. I know, because I did it with mine for Halloween and did like these really cute, like I found icons that were like Halloween themed and like did the background with it and everything like that. It took hours just to do the first page, and I was like,
Yikes.
and it like floods your photos because you have to like, there's like, oh, here's all the same color, and like here's, oh my god, it was obnoxious. And like some of them I couldn't do it with, so I was just like, Fucking all right. It's just gonna be the first page because here we are 3 hours later, and I can't focus on this shit anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a mood.
So shout out to anybody who does that.
In the
Hello.
chat,
Hello.
telling us about their backdrops.
Oh yes,
their
yes.
screens.
Gandalf outside. Oh my god, I cannot say words. Moria is how you say it?
I don't know. I don't Lord of the Rings.
I don't really either. I've watched the first one for the first time like a month ago. Hey. Changed mine recently. Currently my lock screen is a crow in the front of a full moon holding a black key. Ooh, I like that. That have a D&D dragon. I like that. I love old keys. I have a crazy obsession with like old skeleton keys and always have. So I'm a big old fan of that. A Fizzy Lemon is my lock screen, is me and my girlfriend. And my home screen. Cause I'm so OCs. I'm sorry, I just have to poke fun because I love her. I love that.
That's very good.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I love to. That's also, I feel like, an interesting way to see more details about somebody. Like, tell me about your lock screen, and then they're like,
yeah, let's peer in.
Yeah, you gotta tell me about. That's like I was asking people about their enneagrams, and people typically are like, "What the heck is an enneagram?" And then the more we talked about it, some people were like, "I'm really interested to know my enneagram." And then the more we were talking, I was like, "You gotta be a this number, or you gotta be a that number." And people were like, "I don't like how introspective this is. Stop doing this." And I'm like, "I'm not doing anything. I just want to know your enneagram."
So then I can know more about you. Wink.
So, are we sharing ours? Because I feel like you can't just say that without talking.
Yeah, no, we can talk. I don't
know mine.
Oh.
This is the first time I've heard of this. Because
Okay,
you were
so
like,
homework is that Erin reads Mice and Men, and Hillary has to do her enneagram, and then we'll come up with something for me.
So for me and anyone else in chat who doesn't know, how do you find this? Like how do you go about it?
Oh, we can drop
Enneagram Institute.
Oh.
Yeah, EnneagramInstitute.com.
They go to college, do they?
They're an institution.
They're an educated Enneagram. We like that.
Ooh, a degree-seeking Enneagram, are we?
I might go to that university.
Ooh, I'll put it on my resume.
Resume.
Okay, the resume.
The resume.
Okay. If somebody were to put their Enneagram on a resume for me, I would be like...
Honestly, I feel like I would know a lot about them just based off of that. I'd be like, I don't know if I know that you're right for the job or not.
Some people put their Myers-Briggs on
really?
their resumes.
I would be
I've seen
afraid
that.
to do that, to be honest with you.
One time my husband had a job interview, and as part of the interviewing process, they had him take a Myers-Briggs test, which I feel like is pretty dumb because there's no actual science behind any personality test. It's like a guesstimation.
Courage literally just said it in the chat because we're a little delayed. I love that.
Amazing. But yeah, I was like, that's kind of a little dumb because there's no science behind it, but that is okay. It's fun to know.
You know, it's really weird.
That's why I like the Enneagram, because it's more about like how you deal with problems and less about like, let me tell you what you are and aren't. It's more like, hey, fun. Let's talk about something real fast.
So speaking of like job interviews and stuff like that, do you have like the weird, like, can you like log like what the weirdest question that you've ever been asked in a job interview? Because mine is basically like is a personality like thought process or test of can you tell me about your toothbrush?
What?
Yeah. And you have to like remember what your toothbrush looks like and what color it is. Like it shows how detail oriented you are and shit like that. And I was like, are you fucking serious right now?
That's so dumb.
I've been asked that. I've been asked if you were a type of fruit, which would you be and why? What the fuck? Like, what are we why? Why are we doing this? I don't know. Both of those questions, I was like, I think they were both the same interview, and I was like, okay. All right,
Like,
great.
you think that, what are you, off-brand Google? Like, you're not cool. Don't do this.
I don't remember what
I
the job
remember
was for either.
vividly. Oh, were they from the same interview?
Probably.
That's some Internet Explorer.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah,
shit.
both of those 2 questions were from the same interview. And I was like, this is a waste of my fucking time. I don't remember what the job was either. So, but.
Fucking AOL? Like, what century are we in?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good.
I vividly remember, so you know how sometimes they'll be like, okay, what do you think is like your biggest weakness, or like, can you tell me about one of your, troublesome habits or whatever. So I remember vividly being in an interview, like going totally fine, totally regular, and then they go, what would you say is the absolute worst thing about yourself? And I was like, do you want like my therapist answer, or like do you want just the surface? Because they looked at me and they were like, no, what is the worst thing about yourself? And I was like,
my brain.
The fact that I said yes to this interview, I don't know.
That's brain like super self-deprecating.
My brain went to The Office, because it always does. Shocker for anyone. It's I care too much. I work too hard. And I don't remember the third one, but those are the ones. He's like, they're actually my greatest weaknesses as well. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
I don't think I've ever been asked a horrible question. But I have been asked, like, what are your hobbies? And I remember it's actually the job that I have now, which I'm super happy about. It's an admin job. And they were like, so what do you do? And like, da-da-da-da. And I was like giving my actual qualifications. And then they were like, oh, so what are your hobbies? And how do you think that helps you in your workplace? Or does it help you in your workplace? And I was like, don't say Dungeons and Dragons. But that's like one of my very big hobbies that I do. It takes up a majority of my time. And so I was like, well, I play Dungeons and Dragons. And they were like, 3 of the people on the panel were like, tell me more about this. And so I had to give a brief overview of what Dungeons and Dragons is and how I felt like that impacted me. And so I was like, telling the truth. I was like, we have great team building things. I have creativity. There's a lot of improv and thinking on the fly, and like going through the stuff that I enjoy about D&D. Mm-hmm. And then I found out that afterwards, one of the people on the panel actually avidly played D&D. Yes. And mentioning that I enjoyed playing D&D was a huge selling point for me getting the job. Because of the position I'm in, I not only have to be organized, but I also have to be creative and help improvise with other things as well. Mm-hmm. And the other person being in a D&D campaign understood what I was talking about and like belayed that information to other people to like bring it all together. So I was like, yes.
My thought process of that is they're on the panel and they have all these papers and they're like, all right, who are we choosing? And the guy's like, chick who plays D&D. That's who we're choosing, man. And they're like, why? He's like, I don't care. That's who we're choosing. Like, there's no, like, real thought process. It's just like, that's my vote. Who's voting for her? Anybody else?
They're like, I've seen Stranger Things. Got this shit on lock.
We love that shit. Put her on.
One of my jobs last year, because the person that I was interviewing with, I saw that they had a D20 behind their little lamp thing. And I was like, oh, do you play D&D? And they were like, yes, I do. I play like twice a week. Do you play? And I was like, it's kind of all consuming of all of my free time. Yeah. And then I got a call in the elevator leaving the building that they wanted to hire me. And I was like, thank you, Gary Gygax, for this one very specific thing you've done for me.
Praise Gary. Thank you. Oh, it's so good.
So very good. I wanted to, by the way, get to another audience submitted token of conversation again by the lovely Casual Canuck, and it is, why are mirrors so much creepier and ominous at nighttime than any other time? Why?
Man, you know what's crazy about this question is that Canuck asked it like this past week, and I read it and I was like, I've never thought about that. And now anytime in a dark room, I'm like, my eye immediately goes to the mirror. I'm like, this is haunted. I ain't if I out here. And like, it was like something unlocked in my brain that I had never thought about it until the question was asked.
Amazing. So he like unlocked that.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. And so now I was like, fucking demons are everywhere.
And it's me. I'm the
and
one
it's me. It's my shadow self everywhere. So thank you, Casual. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Canuck, on that one.
It really is super creepy, especially if like I have a tendency to like see things out of the corner of my eye. We don't have to go into what that means, but like I feel like occasionally I shall see things creeping around, and I'm always like, so when I actually catch sight of myself in a mirror, and I feel like I've seen the shadow something, and I'm like at the same time, and then it's me in the mirror, and there's like the scary overcast. I'm like, oh. And so I feel like that scene from John Mulaney's comedy bit where he's like, there's a Victorian girl in a nightgown, and then it ends up just being him in an extra large t-shirt as a small child in the hallway. That is so accurate on so many levels. But yeah, there's just something about mirrors, especially at nighttime, because you're like, get behind me, Shadow Walker, like you don't belong in this domain. It's just very scary.
Why is this portal open at night?
Ooh, spookiest thing you've seen at night, chat and otherwise. Go.
Seen?
Like, or like, ghost story time.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright.
I'm gonna just bow out of that one because, I mean, these two already know this, but I think, personally, I have some kind of aura about me or bubble or something, because I will walk into a haunted house, and I mean haunted, for those of you who believe in the great beyond or things that are other, because I will fucking walk in a room and people are like, it's here, like there's stuff in here, it's spooky, and blah blah blah, and then as soon as I fucking walk in, they're like, oh, it's gone, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I must have like a repellent layer or something on, but Saff and I both have one shared experience in one hallway.
Oh God.
There is an energy, and I will do the kid bolt run to and fro if I have to. You get the little skittish deer hops. You're like, whoa.
It's like when you turn the light off as a kid and run to your bed. And you're like,
and you leap over the bed, because whatever's under the bed will definitely get you if you don't jump like 3 feet into your bed. Yeah.
And then you have to cover your feet really quickly and your head.
Yep.
Because if you leave your feet out, they're gone.
Yeah. You out. You were grabbed under. I feel like we all have experienced things or are just sensitive to everything. Like, so I'm gonna save my one like super haunted story that'll reel you back in, but it's also kind of a longer story. But today, y'all, in this house,
today,
like,
on the 5th,
like right now, this morning, I've been hearing some noises in my house, and I'm like, excuse you, who is up in here? And they're not like, it's not like my house creaks.
Just come over and fix it for me.
Yeah, right. Well, and okay, what's wild is I'm a weirdo, and I cleanse my house weekly. I cleanse my house every Monday, and I was like, here, we cleanse the house on Monday. We feel beautiful. Oh, this feels good, whatever. And then the next day, like today, I heard things, and then I walked from my kitchen into my living room and smelt sage randomly. Like, and I didn't light sage. I used other things, and I'm like,
you're like,
hello. I hope that I'm assuming you're good because I'm smelling sage, but who are you, mysterious man?
Why are you in my home?
Show yourself. We're friendly in this house. You could ask.
His answer said, that's why I have a cat. Noise, it's the cat in the discussion.
See, that's fair. And I have a pupper. However, she was on the freaking couch all day. And that's why I'm like, what the fuck is happening in this house? So that's my supernatural shit today.
Yeah. That's super funny. When we all worked at this one escape room, I always think these are funny because like a lot of times we're like, it's haunted, and like I personally don't typically think that things are haunted. It takes a lot for me to be like, now that's haunted, because it's a great big world out there, and I think it'd be silly to think that we're the only ones in it. But we can get into that later. There was supposedly a ghost that lived, and like a couple of them that lived in the escape room that we worked at, and people were always like, oh, like this, that, and the other, like this always happens, and da, 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 like the doors shut on their own, or yada yada yada, and people would scare each other while we reset rooms as like a gag that would happen. And I was like, guys, doors opening and shutting are caused by a draft. It's science. But it was so funny because there would be some things that would just happen. Like at one point, one of the items in the room, just like the handle on something randomly like popped off and yeeted itself towards the person who was resetting the room, and we had it on video because all the rooms were recorded. And so eventually at the end of the year we compiled every like quote quote supernatural thing that would happen because we'd have it all in recording, and people would be like, I felt something like staring at me, and I felt like this cold run down my spine, and like I just love that. I adore that as a concept of like the escape room ghost is in like these rooms, and like la di da di da di, and it made me very happy.
And truth be told, though, I mean, I had some of those experiences myself, and I am not somebody who's like super in tune with everything like
Sure.
that. I bet you so much money that's a ghost. So much money.
It was really spooky because at one point I was in one of the rooms and I was like, yeah, it's super weird. I was standing in this corner and I just felt like if I could really believe that somebody was standing in the opposite corner of me, which it was impossible, nobody could be standing there. I was like, yeah, I just felt like someone staring daggers at me, kind of like when you can feel someone looking at you when you're not looking at them. And I got back into the control room and I was like, yeah, it was super weird. I just felt like someone staring daggers at me from this corner of the room. And then my one friend, who's very skeptical, turned in her chair and was like, no, that's where it stands all the time. And I was like, dude, stop messing around. That's not like whatever. And they're like, no, I shit you not. And then like two more piped up and they're like, I swear I'm not crazy. It's also from that corner. I never said anything to anybody. And then we were all like, this is a weird sensation.
Yeah, and also, can we talk about the fact that we all called it Clyde?
Oh,
We just,
yeah.
there was definitely more than one, but it was just like,
Yes.
that's who you were talking about. We like named it, and whenever we'd close up for the night, we'd be like, good night.
Don't be weird. Okay, bye.
It's so weird because I never experienced it ever. And also nobody ever tried to scare me, which is probably for the best because God, I would have quit so fast. Would have quit
I got scared
so
all
fast.
the time.
Yeah.
We have some spooky stories in the chat. Do you guys want to read them, or do you want me to read them?
Sure. I'll pick one, you pick one, and host can pick one as well.
I'll read
I'll leave that to you guys so I can kind of find a read.
Yes, beautiful.
Ooh.
So, alright, so for Motor, my scariest moment was when it was around midnight and I heard a repetitive noise on the outside of my wall. I went to peek out of my room and saw where the noise was coming from, but saw nothing, and when I flashed a light toward it, it stopped. So I went back into my room and I was like, nope. That is a whole crisp no from me. No,
I love that, like,
disembodied noises.
that happens. I feel like everyone has to have at least one of those stories where, like, yeah, it was kind of weird. I heard some chatter, checked it out, and it stopped.
Like, anytime I've had those experiences, I actively talk out loud as if there's someone there.
Yep.
Even if there is nothing there, I'm making myself feel better, and if there is something there, they are fully being acknowledged.
Amazing. Incredible. Casual Canuck said, not so much a spirit, but I was driving real early one morning, and I'm pretty sure I felt something roll across my door as I noticed a flash of white. No fur on my car, no blood, no reports on the news about something on the stretch of highway, but I felt something roll across my door. Yikes.
Yeah.
That is spooky. So it's country, so I just assumed deer, but I don't know. Yeah, that's always spooky.
That's
The
super
ghosts.
screw.
They're here.
The ghosts.
No. Okay, so while Hillary is finding some things on the interwebs,
Yes.
I had a friend growing up. Shout out to my man Eswardo, best friends since we were children. They had a ghost story that they would tell, and it was like basically how one of his younger siblings would see a spooky man, and he'd always go, "Oh, he's ugly," and pull his eyeball down. And his mom was always like, "What is wrong with you, child? Like, no one's even here. Like, I can't see anybody." And so eventually, they called like a spiritualist person in, because it had been like months and months and months, and they were about to move into a new house. And she was like, "I don't know what the deal is, but I don't want this thing coming with me." You know what I'm saying? And also, I just want to make sure my child was okay. And so, like, this tiny old, like, spiritualist woman came in and like was just checking it out, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, like this spirit, he found you. He's not like malicious or anything, and he's just like hanging out." And he supposedly was a sailor, like an old sailor, because the kid would also describe like crazy white hair, and he was teeny tiny. He was like 2 or 3, so very garbled words, but basically would just pull his eyes down and say ugly, and then like described white hair basically. And apparently, the ghost was an old man with white hair, and he had drowned or appeared to have drowned, and his eyes had drooped really, really low. And that's why the kid kept saying like, "Oh, he's ugly," and pulling his eyes down was because that's what the ghost looked like. And so the old woman was like, "Yeah, basically when you pack everything up and you go to leave and you take the boxes with you, before you leave, make sure you wipe your feet on your doormat, and regardless of what happens, you put your hands out and you say, 'Stay here, do not follow us,' 3 times, and make sure you're really strong about it, and then kind of like, brush your hands and be done with it, and then don't look back when you leave." And she was like, "Yeah, well, fuck it up, I guess so."
Oh my
Did
God.
that and never had a problem again after that. Didn't tell her kid either. It wasn't like, "Here, small toddler, let's not worry about it." She did all of that, moved to the new house, and the kid never said anything ever again.
Oh my God.
Oh well,
that's wild.
In a weird sense. So here's another story for you from the archives of the brain up here. My father is somebody who's very it is or it isn't. It's like it's very literal or it doesn't exist. Not that like it can't exist, just that like until it's proven, he doesn't believe in it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, that's fair. Totally valid. And he said that when I was a baby, he came in to check on me, and he like went like tracking across the house, and he opened the door, and he said he saw 2 figures in my room looking over the crib. One of them was like a tall man, and another one was an elder woman sitting in this rocking chair. So not to like give any total personal details or anything, but that was my great grandmother that he saw, and his brother who passed away when he was young. And he said that in that moment he just stood there, and they both turned and they like smiled, and then they just kind of like looked back into the crib, and he was like, "I didn't know what to do, so I just closed the door and walked away." And I was like, "No, she's fine, Erin's fine, like, didn't need me to check on her," like that kind of thing. And he never talks about it after that, but he said that happened, and then I don't know.
Oh my God.
So, again, I've never read anything off the books ever. If it's possible, I believe it is possible. So again, another fun fact about myself. Not so fun. I've been in several serious car accidents in my lifetime. Thankfully, I was okay physically through all of that. But both times that I was in the more serious ones, the first thing that the first responders said was, "I can't believe you're not dead," to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know what to make of that at the time. And then the second one I was in, one of the people saw it happen, and she goes, "I don't know what that was, but there was somebody right there. There was somebody at your window, and you were
amazing."
Fine." And I was like, what do you mean?
I just imagine you walking like Mr. Bean style, where like all these horrible things are like happening around you, and your guardian angel's like, "Oh my gosh, for the love of everything good in this universe," as like they block your shenanigans.
Literally, I like to think that, if people believe in guardian angels or anything like that, I certainly do. I think that I don't know that I couldn't at this point.
Right.
But I feel like there is definitely a very long line of people there. They're probably very annoyed with me.
They're like, gosh dang it, third time this week.
Stay safe for like 3 years, just like a 3-year block. Just a break, please.
It's like the Mr. Incredibles line. He's like, I feel like I just did the dishes and now it's a mess again. Can they just stay clean for 1 minute? Yeah.
Literally.
Oh
All I can think of now is the like, what are you waiting for, kid? I don't know, something cool, I guess.
Me every day of my life.
Oh, so good. So good.
I love it.
Oh, man. Did we have any more stories?
Of
Didn't want to let anyone feel left out.
Oh, I mean.
Oh, in the chat? Or.
Oh yeah.
Well, Casual Connect basically just said that if they pass away at sea, that they're gonna they know that they need to haunt someone now. Like that's their goal.
Yeah.
Which, like, yeehaw, and like apparently, if Casual Connect haunts Motor, they're just gonna have a good old time watching movies and partying and stuff. So pick the right person to haunt, and you could have a great time.
Yeah. I love that. I love that it's a pair haunting. I like that a lot. It's so good.
You gotta get your exit buddy.
Do you have your exit buddy? Yes!
You're really cute, but I don't know what you're trying to say to me.
Amazing.
Oh god, I love it so
as
much.
we are wrapping up this lovely Tuesday episode, I will go ahead and sign myself off, and then we can go down the line. So thank you everybody so much for tuning in to another episode of Niche Deep. I hope that you laughed and maybe got a little spooked tonight. And if you would like more of me, I will be here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. EST. I will be on We're Only Gonna Do This Once, my other show with a lovely person named Reed. 8 p.m. EST as well. And every social media everywhere under Precisely Aaron. Hillary, would you like to sign yourself in?
Yeah, I am planning on streaming again. I took a little mental health break because those are the kind of ladies we is up in this biatch. So I'll be streaming over at Legend Hillary, all one word, over on Twitch, and you can follow me on most social medias at Legend Hillary as well. And Saff?
Amazing. Yeah, I'm Saff. I go by a clerical error 748 on all social media. You can catch me obviously here, but also every Monday on Dice Cream Sandwiches Twitch, a D&D podcast called Beyond the Realms. It's a ton of fun. And another fun little side project that I have is a podcast called Laurel Traditions, where we are dedicated to keeping oral traditions alive while we create lore every episode. It's basically an improv storytelling podcast, and it's available on Spotify right now, first episode. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else for me.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, again, please feel free to jump in our Discord if you need more of us or check us out on anything else we're doing.
It's there in the
please
chat.
Please submit your topics to chat about. We would love to cover them. I'm sure you all have some very crazy ideas, and we'd love to hear them.
Absolutely.
And I will leave you with this gem of a question. Can you call yourself an advisor if no one takes your advice?
Ooh. Yikes.
Have a kick-ass week. We love you so much.
We're going to go raid Rant and Stumpy. It's a comedy podcast, so come and stay and hang out to raid with us right now. Bye, guys.
Woo! Bye.